This week in news, Matthew is still, not doing great. Got whatever I had, which was not COVID. I got negative tests on COVID. But this week's stories are: E3 is dead. Embracer continues to lay off their employees for fuck-ups, and I'm going to be going through my gaming year in review. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast that is turning things around right before the new year. I am the Dean of Games. I'm not joined by anyone today. We have a possible new co-host. She was sick. Gavin just has had a super busy week, with very little sleep. So, it's just me. Just little me. And I've been doing okay. Thank you for asking, commenters. That's why I appreciate you. You're very, very caring. I am feeling the best that I've felt in the last 2 months. I've gotten some work done over this way off screen. I've come up with a possible plan in case things are whatever. I put in for jobs. There's a lot less jobs than I was hoping for. So that's fun. But yeah. This is Extra Extra, your weekly gaming news podcast covering the news leading up to Thursday. Oh, no, not Thursday. Monday. No, not Monday either. Shit. It's been a week, guys. Tuesday, August 9th. Not August. God damn it. Just cut it all. Just cut it all. No more. This is Extra Extra, your weekly gaming news podcast covering the news leading up to Tuesday, December 19th, 2023. First time. And if you like us, you can go to patreon.com/thebriefing-room. Let's get to some news. Before we get into all the depressing stuff, I want to start off with my year in review. So, pulling up my Xbox stats. So 2023 was actually a fairly big Xbox year for me. It says 519 hours. That's not accurate whatsoever. You can cut about 150-ish hours off of that. I'll get into it with the games, but there's a game that has long play sessions with less than ideal saving ability. And so there are times that I couldn't get to a save point before I had to do something else, like go to work or go to like a family dinner or whatever. So that inflated the numbers on the Xbox side. So ignore those. And then we have, I played 8 total games. I got 1,740 gamer score, 102 achievements. And my top gameplay month was November. Well, I guess not surprising, because I was sick. But anyway, as far as the actual Xbox numbers, like how I stack up with other players in my most played games, I was in the top 10% for hours played. Again, that's a little artificial. Top 15 for players for gamer score. That's pretty cool. Didn't think that would happen. And the top 10 of players for achievements unlocked. Again, didn't think that was going to happen. I only got 100 this year. And then my most played game is Persona 4 Golden. That's the game I was talking about. The in-game clock shows 170 hours. So, but this says 310. So, take that with a grain of salt. I almost have all the achievements in that. And then I was in the top 5 for people that played that game. And then Starfield, obviously I've been streaming it. 159 hours there. I don't have a lot of achievements there. But I was in the top 10% of active players for that game. And then Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, which threw me off when I saw this roundup, because I honestly didn't even think I played it this year, let alone as much as I did. I put 36 hours into it this year. And that was just to complete all the achievements, because I only had a couple left. I only had 17 achievements left. And they were all collection based, and I had most of the collections, so it was just finishing a little bit off of there. And I was in the top 5% of people that played that game. So that was the Xbox roundup. Now my Steam roundup, not nearly as impressive, embarrassing. I'm not sure whether to call my playtime an accomplishment or not. Now a lot of it was streaming. There was some stuff that wasn't streaming, but a lot of it was streaming. I played 6 games this year. Only 25 sessions. Did not have a whole lot of game time on Steam this year. And only 2 new games. 66% of my time was playing Starfield. Stardew! I've talked about how often I play Starfield. Stardew! And I've talked ad nauseum about how excited I am about Haunted Chocolatier. Which is the next project by Concerned Ape. And I can't wait for the new update. Might stream the new update when it comes out. Next up, The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog. That I did for a set of Patreon Let's Plays. So that's exciting stuff there. Age of Mythology, I played that with my best friend from high school. That's how we've hung out. Because he lives on the other side of the country now, and yeah. Phasmophobia, and then Resident Evil 4 demo. If that tells you how little I played, that a demo made it into my top 5 most played. And then Nintendo doesn't really do a roundup wrapped kind of thing like that. But most of my Switch time was streamed. So these numbers are approximate, because I know, like, Tears of the Kingdom, I did some extra stuff off stream because I knew people didn't want to play the stream. So I just kind of added 20-ish hours onto there and so forth. So 175 hours of Tears of the Kingdom, 120 hours of Breath of the Wild, and 36 hours of Pikmin 4. And that's not even including the randomizers that I've done throughout the year as well. So there's my roundups for the year. Exciting stuff. Now, we can get to the not exciting stuff, the depressing stuff, the stuff that makes me viscerally angry. But we'll get to that when we get to it. E3 is dead. This came from a statement by the Electronic Software Association, the ESA, themselves. They are the organizers of E3. After more than 2 decades of E3, and this is a quote, by the way, each one bigger than the last, the time has come to say goodbye. Thanks for the memories. GGWP. End quote. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Electronic Entertainment Expo, or E3, started as a trade show, which is, before the internet, it was a way to show games to retail companies such as Target and Walmart and, at the time, EB, GameStop. So that way they could order those games for their stores for the holidays, which is why even today, even though the internet's a thing and games don't really release that kind of way, we still kind of think in our minds, oh, new games come out in November. And that's because this. It was because that's when they had the opportunity to sell games to the retailers. So, excuse me. They pivoted in the mid 2000s-ish to showing games to journalists to be reported on. The internet was just starting up. Their retail partners kind of had a better idea of how to order without needing to see the games. So they had pivoted to being more journalist focused, so that way journalists could report those games directly to the fans. And that's when the E3 that everyone thinks of kind of appeared. It blew up in size and presentation. Because it was reporters, they needed to do things to make this grandiose impression for the journalists to then write about, for then the people reading to get excited about. So they had these extravagance of, showcases and displays and all this. But even though they pivoted to that fairly well, they were too slow to adapt to the streaming age. And this led to Sony and EA pulling out to save money by not paying for showroom space in 2019. And then in 2020, it was canceled for the pandemic. They did have one in 2021, but have not had one since. But this year, ReedPop, the organizers of PAX, had teamed up with the ESA to put on an E3 this year. But apparently it was a mess as far as organization, and ended up being canceled. And of course, the big one, they created their own worst enemy with Jeff Keighley. I don't remember all the details, but there was some sort of disagreement, and he decided to start his own thing And he's advertised for his own competing show every time that they've made a mistake since. Like within minutes. People who wrote about this story are Andy Robinson, Nicole Carpenter, Chris Holt, Andy Robinson at VGC, Nicole Carpenter at Polygon, Chris Holt at Engadget, Gene Park at Washington Post, James Batchelor at GameIndustry.biz, Maxwell Zeff at Gizmodo, Michael Can at PC Magazine, and Ash Parrish at The Verge. Oh boy. So me and Landon have talked about this on the show before with, the cancellations of 2022 and this year. It's sad. Not surprising, but sad. Me and Landon, we were people that were inspired by these E3 showcases. I honestly don't know that this podcast exists without E3. I'm just being honest. That being said, again, they were just too slow to pivot. And I get it. They needed that money both for the facility that they were using, but also the ESA is a company that represents the video game industry as a whole. If you remember the Night Trap incident, it was the ESA that managed to work with the with the government to form the ESRB, so that where there's ratings, an easier way of telling that was ESA. And so like some of it's funding for that as well. I'm sure they'll never say. But they I would have loved to have gone to an E3. It's not going to happen. And all things come to an end, and it was a rather sad end, but it makes sense. So that's what I have to say about it. Let's keep the shit train rolling. Speaking of a little side note here. Speaking of shit trains, I don't know how many of you know this, but there was a train incident. Big train guy. I don't know if you guys know this or not. Big train guy. There was a train incident in Alabama that involved a train filled with human waste that sat in the hot sun for, I think it was weeks. So look up shit train. You'll find it. It's actually a fascinating little bit of kind of fun, kind of gross, but I think you'll enjoy if you're anything like me. But back on topic, Embracer continue to make employees pay for their fuck ups. Wah, wah. This came from 3D Realms founder Scott Miller. He's no longer at the studio, but he has been told by the people there. And these were through tweets on X. See, I don't say Twitter just because it doesn't work like Twitter anymore. And also, I don't want to be the guy to dead name. Elon Musk might be okay with it. I'm not. So he posted this. Several sources have told me this bad news. Sorry to hear about another drop of the axe by Embracer Group. This time landing on Danish 3D Realms. A lot of people, including core devs, will be looking for work ASAP. And then he continued with another post. More and more sources have told me at least half the company, Slipgate and 3D Realms, is laid off. We're looking at hiring at least 2 to 3. End quote. 3D Realms and Slipgate were acquired by Embracer in 2001. These acquisitions, as well as buying all of the Square Enix Western studios and the Tomb Raider and Deus Ex and all non-related Lord of the Rings rights, were made with the assumption that a $2 billion deal was going to go through with Saudi Arabia. But the deal didn't go through. And so, because these deals were made without the money to pay off these debts, they've had to restructure, as they announced in June. They've canceled many games. They shut down studios such as Volition, the people who did Saints Row and then Free Radical Designs. And while the numbers of this round of layoffs aren't clear yet, they could have possibly reached the 1,000 people mark now, which would be 1/9 of all games people laid off this year. People who wrote about this story are Tom Ivan at VGC, Andy Chalk at PC Gamer, Catherine Lewis at Tech Radar, Ryan Perino at GameRanks, Dominic Bosnajak at GameRant, Victoria Kennedy at Eurogamer, Taylor Lyles at IGN, and Jeffrey Rousseau at GameIndustry.biz. Woo, boy, is that a lot to take in. And also, fuck Embracer. There was a Kind of Funny Games Daily where the question was asked, would this have happened if the deal had gone through? And it was is a quite enjoyable conversation, and I kind of agree that yeah, this still would have happened because they would have gotten the money they needed and then they would have continued spending. They would not have stopped. It would have just ended up being a different deal that fell through that would have caused them to have issues. And it just kind of sucks that these higher-ups are just spending a massive fuck ton of money just so they can possibly get more money. And if they don't get more money, they're not gonna lose any money. They're just gonna lose employees because that's perfectly normal. And then 1/9, 9,000 people have been laid off in the games industry this year. And 1/9 of them are Embracer related. That's fucking crazy. And even if they haven't reached 1,000 yet, they were at 900. So they were very close. That's why I was willing to actually go as far as to say 1,000. That's just... that is the biggest problem, is all these corporate higher-ups. they're making hand over fist. And instead of distributing that money so that way their employees can live comfortably, they give them scraps instead of, oh, that's my bad. My decision led to this. We can take... I doubt that they would have been able to take it all out of his paycheck, but, you know, I'm the CEO. I made the decision. We can take a massive portion out of my paycheck, and then we'll be able to save some of our workers. No, none of that. Fuck them. It's just sad. And all these people that were laid off, there's not a whole lot of places to go. Like, I've been looking into jobs, and they're not in the games industry, but they're adjacent to the games industry. So when I'm on, websites like Glassdoor and so forth, like, they show up because they're tangentially related. And there's jobs out there, but there's not 9,000 jobs out there. It's 9,000 people. Now, obviously, it's happened throughout the year. Some of them have already found jobs. So take that for what you will. But they're all competing for maybe a couple hundred jobs. It's just, it sucks. It sucks, man. And all because these greedy bastards. So yeah, that's the unfortunate shit that we need to talk about. This is going to be a shorter episode just because it has just been me, and I don't want to destroy my throat by talking nonstop. But my hair's fucking insane. So we'll go ahead and end it here. If you liked, or if you didn't like this podcast, make sure to do all of the things, like hitting the like button, and hitting the subscribe button, and hitting that bell. Ding, ding, ding. At the XofPlays on YouTube, or giving a high rating on whatever podcast service you use so you can find like-minded people. Be sure to tell people about the show. Word of mouth is the best way to help us grow. Seriously, it is. And I brought it up before, but on patreon.com/thebriefingroom, you can financially support the show and get cool rewards as well. That's all from us. Take care.